Second. Okay.
Wasn't public participation.
That's not on the agenda.
No.
Public participation is at the end.
At the end, yeah.
Do we have to read the resolution?
What's that?
Do we have to read the resolution?
Yes, we do have to read the resolution.
Where might we find that?
It's on the back of your, it's on the back of your,
Okay,
Resolved, Newington Town Council, slip of the tongue. Resolved, the Newington Town Pools Project Building Committee, in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes, Section 1/206E and Section 1-21, 210B24, hereby move to go into executive session and invites the committee members, Jonathan Ashell, Town Manager, and the representatives of Lothrop Associates and Weston Sampson to discuss request a proposal to evaluation of aquatic facilities.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now it's your turn.
Oh, thank you.
wait, and now we have to
Whoops, we gotta
formally do
switch the-
this.
Now we have
So we're
to-
sharing the
Switch the
screen
I'll close the door.
and then. Can I say something that's really important? So at council meeting last Tuesday, council transferred $63,000 for this purpose. We would have to move, if so, to award a contract above $63,000. So if we, go over that 63,000, we have to find additional money. We have, money in my manager's contingency that expires at the end of this month. So we'd have to cut a purchase order out of my managed contingency for that difference right away. We'd also have to justify why we would be using not the low bid, even this is technically an RFP. It's still, our procurement policy requires us to explain why we're not going with the low bid. And so there would have to be a coherent reason that I could give for justifying why the non-low bid was the best choice. So I just want to make sure that gets out there. And so obviously that tips the scale a little bit, but it's important for transparency that we're all aware of that.
Jonathan, can you remind us the difference in cost between the two?
So Weston Sampson had, just for the evaluation, was 55,500, and then their construction plans, as we talked about, was depended, but it was between 65,000 and 85,000. What Lothrop was a hair under $80,000 for everything, but that, if you look at it closely, it didn't include the actual it wasn't construction plans. Whatever they were proposing as their final deliverable, it was a draft evaluation report and a final evaluation report. And so that was something short of construction plans.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe something more than merely an evaluation. It was a little unclear, and we didn't really get into those details in our meeting. So, it does not include any design. It says this fee proposal does not include any, this is Lothrop, any design work for any recommending repair improvements. Okay. So it does not include, well, obviously it doesn't include bidding or construction administration. So, I think really it is more or less an apples to apples comparison of 55,500 for Weston versus 79,900 for Lothrop.
And it's probably going to be more than that either way, because both recommended that we do the boring, which is
Definitely that. Obviously, with the $63,000 we have in CIP, you could probably cover that.
Yeah.
And then as a practical matter, it's important too, is I'd have to talk to Janet if you wanted to go with Lothrop, I'd have to talk to Janet just procedurally how that works. I've never been through a full budget cycle, so I don't know how we carry over funds into the next year that have been appropriated, that have been obligated. I just don't know the process for that. So.
And how much money do you have in your contingency fund?
I have money, but I have enough money for that. But with the caveat that, as I said, I've never been here through a full budget cycle. I don't know how council historically handles carryovers from one year to the next.
We usually just, that's where we sit down and we go through, we're moving this fund to this fund.
Yeah, but we would have to. You don't have $20,000 in your contingency fund, I would assume.
I do.
You do? Huh.
I could talk to Janet about rolling it over. But again,
we still have to justify.
You still have to justify why you'd be paying $25,000 more for basically apples and apples product, right? So anyways, I just say all that just to sort of lay the groundwork that it's kind of a high hurdle to, but that's, that I've said what I needed to say.
So if we had Weston and Sampson just do the evaluation, are we tied to them for construction?
No.
Okay, so then that piece of that pie is, I don't think he was understanding what you were asking him.
No, he understood me loud and clear.
Yeah, you said,
But if that piece of that pie that he talked about, the construction piece of it, if we didn't want that, if we didn't want them to do the construction aspect of it, why would we be paying for it?
We wouldn't. I'm not understanding the question. I said there's two phases that they proposed.
Right,
There was one for the evaluation
yes,
and there was another one for the construction plans.
right.
So I asked them the simple question, does it change the calculus on cost of phase one for the evaluation if we just say we're only gonna do phase one, that
Oh, I
phase
thought he was
one? Is
talking
there
about
any
the
sort
cost of the whole thing. I
No.
didn't catch on, he was, okay,
I think you got it.
Yeah.
Just the rest of them.
right.
I mean, again, sometimes I'm bad about biting my tongue in these as manager, these types of meetings, but Weston Sampson is a local firm. They do projects of this size all the time. You know, Lothrop was, I think, specializing in Westchester County, Fairfield County, you know, big kahuna projects. Didn't seem like, my impression was they were focused on a design. They were focused on a larger a time frame sort of issue, or whereas we're just looking at, hey, can the pools be salvaged in their current location?
I think that was my impression with Lothrop. I think I appreciate all the slides they showed me, but these were $70 million projects. There is no way that I can sell to this town a $70 million project, even if I thought it was a great project, even if we all thought it was a great project. We couldn't sell it to the town. So I get it, and I appreciate the fact that they were showing these, but if they had done their homework, they would have known that if $11 million didn't sell, $70 million. So show me a project that was more towards what my appetite was for. I appreciate the slides they were showing us, and it was great, and it was educational. And I wish we could afford, you know, 3 pools and a round pool and a diving pool and a swimming pool and an indoor pool, but we don't have that. We don't have that space. We'd have to take up the entire center of the town to build those things. And we aren't Westchester County yet.
To play devil's advocate though, Weston Sampson didn't show us anything.
Right.
You know, just to have a conversation, like they didn't show us anything. I mean, I liked the level of professionalism that Lothrop had, where I feel like these guys came in and kind of just, I don't know, like I do interviews. Yeah, I do interviews at my job all the time, and it just didn't seem like as if they were here for like an interview. It was more just like they were here to chit chat.
Well, they had 6 examples in their RFP. And they were,
No, I
they had-
understand that.
they
but
had
I'm
it, I mean, they
talking-
had it up. They were ready to show it.
But they just didn't. I just don't understand why they didn't do that. That's one. It just seemed very casual.
I remember hearing from a previous architect that did some work for us, that they spend quite some time repairing the work done by Weston and Sampson, which has
We
me
can't.
concerned, in terms of.
You can't.
Okay,
construction.
wait.
Can I finish?
If you make statements like that, you have to back that up.
Can't do
We
anything
can
till-
check references. That's something we can do.
Yes, well, I was getting there.
Okay,
Okay, I would prefer that we check references before going through with that. And I don't have that concern in terms of doing a site evaluation, but in terms of going forward with construction, anybody we hire, I think it's important that we check their references thoroughly.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, when they say you can call on our pool people, they're gonna give you their good guys.
Oh,
so
Yeah.
Eileen, is there a reference you'd like me to check?
well, the thing what had me concerned was like Elmridge Park in the town of Rocky Hill, they included in their packet. That didn't pass. They didn't do it because it didn't pass. So what happened there. I would be,
It didn't.
But what does that have, they did an evaluation of it.
I was under the impression after speaking with someone over there, they were looking to replace the pool and it didn't pass.
Didn't pass referendum.
Well, what does that have to do with the
Yeah,
engineer?
it's outside of their capability.
I mean, if they built it and didn't pass inspection, that would be something else.
No.
Yeah.
If they're gonna meet our needs and understand what our needs are, my feeling is they need to come up with a project that's gonna pass. And they didn't come up with a project that was gonna pass.
I would respectfully refer you to the RFP, which did not make it a criteria of how many times, what's your batting average? That was not a,
Right, I understood.
their job is to have expertise in pool repairs and pool construction.
But shouldn't construction take place within a particular? Maybe it's not their fault. Maybe they didn't get the right budget. Maybe I'm looking
So
at
for the
this
same
from
token,
wrong-
so we can say that the firm that brought our proposal to referendum, we should then give them anybody who asks us for reference, we should give them a bad recommendation because they didn't pass our referendum.
Well, something wasn't working. I would be like.
I feel like there's a lot of other factors that go into the referendum process.
I agree.
That's not, yeah.
And I don't think we
it's hard
should
to bring
besmirch
it up right
a
now,
company
but-
based on supposed.
So I mean, we can check the references on both companies.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the prudent thing to do. I was a little concerned with when Eileen had asked both parties about what their threshold is to, like, you know, if it's a total loss or not. I mean, I do car insurance, so we have total losses all the time, and I liked how the first group there had kind of like a set methodology behind it as of like, yeah, if you hit the certain percentage threshold over repair, like, you know, then, you know, it's a wash. Whereas Weston Sampson didn't really, well, one, they didn't even answer that question fully, but it feels like as if they're coming into this kind of with like a preconceived idea that we're shooting for.
Again, I would refer you to the RFP.
Yeah.
RFP never said, and again, I hate to do this in committee meetings, but the RFP said nothing about putting the pool in another location. It was
That's-
merely an
that's not what I'm trying to
evaluation
get at.
of the existing conditions of the pool.
Yeah.
It wasn't to make it wasn't to give us guidance about if, you know, if you're going, whether you should repair it or, you know, replace it somewhere else. So like that there is a industry standard for those kind of questions that may or may not be true. But that wasn't the scope of what was being asked. Literally, the first RFP that I put forward was a feasibility study of locations. And the direction of this committee was, no, we don't want to do a feasibility study of different options. It was, let's just start over. Can we repair the pools in their current location? So that was the assignment. That's what the RFP said. And so that should be the parameters that we're looking at.
Well, that's what I'm speaking to.
Yeah.
So when we ask them, what are their parameters to determine like what the feasibility of repairs are, they didn't have like a set, like kind of like process that they follow. At least they didn't explain it like that. That's what I'm trying to get. I don't care if we repair the pool in the same spot. I don't care if we move it. That means nothing to me. I want, so like if we're gonna get an assessment, which like, you know, if you do like an inspection on a car, they're not going into there thinking, okay, like I want to total this car out, but they're gonna look at everything and then see, okay, is it worth it or not? And that's really what I'm getting at. I did not get that from them, or they didn't explain it to us in that way. They were just dead set and saying, you know, we'll do whatever we have to do to get the repairs going. But like with that mentality, I think it's short-sighted, where it's like if they're geared towards just doing whatever that needs to be done to repair it, whether it's in that location or doing a new pool, then down the road, it could end up shooting us in the foot in the long term. Like I want, you know, a blank canvas assessment and not something where they're going in there with like a preconceived
But
idea.
They had also said they were gonna give us, you know, good, better, best.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I also thought, I thought I heard them say it's all what the community can stomach is how much how much it costs to repair it and how much it costs to build it new, and then that's a value judgment. So I think they did kind of answer that. They just didn't have the 2/3 formula
Yeah.
that the other firm had. Yeah, but it set 2/3 threshold, it automatically triggers it. They said that if it costs 10 million to fix it and 9 million for 11 million for a new one, then it's worth fixed, then that's a judgment for the community. So I think they did answer that, just not in that crisp
In the clear, yeah.
2/3 tipping point. At least that's what I heard. I heard that they did answer it. It said that they'll get to the point where the community decides that it's worth it. And same with my car. It's, we all had to make that decision. Was it worth putting the new transmission in? And we all make that kind of those decisions based on our personal finances.
I just was looking for an amount, a ratio where somebody's gonna say, nah, you shouldn't repair that. What's the cutoff point? Where do you just say, no, it's not worth repairing? It's only gonna last 10 years if we do it. You throw $5 million in there, it's gonna be down the drain in 5 years. or
Well, the
whatever.
community will say that once we
Yeah.
give them the numbers. The community will say yes, okay, or no, okay.
I mean, and he did also say, it's a cost benefit analysis.
Right,
And that's what it is. That's the answer to the question. It's a cost benefit analysis. So rather than arbitrarily stating a number that may or may not be true, he answered the question directly. He said, it's a cost benefit analysis, which is what any social scientist would tell you the answer to the question is.
Right, I mean, you'd hate to, here's, it's $10,000, right? I'm just making up numbers, right? So you hit 2/3 of 10,000, you automatically, that's your tipping point. Is it, for, a couple of percentage more, right? 4/5 is good enough for us, right? So I don't know that, stamping out, it's gonna be, like I said, but it's gonna be, the problem is, I don't think we ever had a solid number. We never had a cost to repair number, right? It was always just, oh my God, the pools are gonna kill our children, right? And then this is what we want to do. This is our new, if we had a number that came back and said, it's gonna be 10 million to fix the 2 pools, or I can build 2 brand new pools with some additional features for 15, you have that number. We didn't have that number before. So I think that's one of the tipping points too, right? If you can show evidence, right? That's what we have to do. We have to show the evidence of, hey, we're gonna spend $10 million and we're gonna get something that's okay, or we're gonna spend $15 million and we're gonna get this, right? But there was not that piece of the pie that we could show to the public. Right? And I think that's the important part, right? We have, and it can come out of this committee. Hey, we did our due diligence. And, we're not gonna make everybody happy.
oh, clearly.
So, I mean,
I think it's hard to show the public, okay, we can repair this for $10 million or get a new one for $15 million without some background knowledge there that says, okay, we're spending $10 million, but it's only gonna last 10 years. But if we spend $15 million, the life expectancy is 30 years or 40 years.
That's part of the.
yeah, that's our
something that-
that's our sales package. I mean, that's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's how we,
Yeah.
that's how we propose it, but we didn't have the data to say we can repair them for this, or we can build it for whatever the number was, right? I mean, part of the proposal failure was also where it was gonna go, right? So
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
that was another big chunk of it, right? So I mean, if it was, 11 million, leave it where it is, it might have passed. We don't know that, but I think that other piece played a giant, role in determining it not passing. But once you have all the numbers, that's how you present it, right? And the town may say, the public may say, you know what? We're good. We're gonna repair them. If we get another 15, 20 years out of them, that's fine. And then we plan, start whatever, right? It just,
So this RFP is just the, giving us, the assessments.
Right.
And once we get the assessments, whoever we choose, it doesn't mean we have to go with them for the next phase.
correct.
No, we may
So we're
wanna
just
bring in
getting the
more firms.
assessment on what they think the cost is gonna be either way to repair or rebuild in the same spot.
No, well, right, well, repair, rebuild is the same thing. Yeah, yeah, repair,
repair
rebuild, yeah,
or-
not replace, yeah, yeah.
Repair or replace is, I should say, replace.
No, replace.
Because part of it is, okay, we might need to, we might get away with patching it or fixing it, or we'll have to rebuild.
Yeah, well, okay, I think it goes without saying we have to rebuild. I don't know, maybe we're splitting hairs on the terms. I think it's, their only question was whether the pools can be salvaged in their current location is essentially. Can, like, evaluate, can this be rebuilt? If so, what are the things that what is it gonna cost to redo the pump house? What is it gonna cost to reline the pool or whatever? And
Okay,
replace the decks, you know, we'll get those figures.
Does that include bathhouse work too?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, includes the bathhouse, both.
Okay.
bathrooms.
yeah, all of those
Yeah, because they all,
accessory features.
once we're touching them, we gotta bring them up to code.
but are we going to go ahead with the geotechnical report with these two? to
Well, I
get
think
the-
it sounds like we have to.
Yeah,
And so,
Okay.
you know, one of the things, again, Lothrop wasn't even talking about stormwater solutions. And the fact that they could speak knowledgeably about different types of ways of abating the stormwater in the ground. Like, that was like, oh, we're having an intelligent conversation about stormwater, not merely should we test for it, but how can we address it? It's not a binary question of, oh, there's too much groundwater, therefore we can't build here. Like, that's what engineers or civil engineers do, is they figure out, okay, well, everywhere has groundwater. How do we still manage to do the construction without causing stormwater problems? And so the fact that they were able to just rattle those things off, I thought was very,
That was refreshing.
very refreshing.
And then I mean, just so I don't think it matters. I think we gotta do the geotech course.
Yeah,
I don't, you know.
You're right,
and that's, and neither one of them do it,
yeah.
right?
Right,
So we
right.
could-
So that would have to
we
come out
could
of-
go
But I
out-
mean, it's five, so again, it's like, it can be absorbed within the project
Yeah.
budget.
Right, we can
If
go
it's-
out to this company in Oxford and do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Right, and that way it's independent of these guys.
Yeah.
So I think we have to do it no matter what.
yeah, I
Just-
agree.
Just to,
I just wanted to make sure that was gonna be a part of it, yeah.
just to make sure, you know, for our own, you know, and another piece of evidence for the town.
So I understand why the geotechnical reports are important at Mill. Is it important at Churchill because of erosion underneath the pool? Is that what their concern is?
I think you'd still, you'd probably want to do the course because it's next to the pump. Right, you don't, they filled in the part that's really adjacent to the pool,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
they filled that in, right? So I don't think it would be a bad thing.
Mhm.
It would be embarrassing to start digging up the pool and all of a sudden go, oh, holy crap, you know, we found, you know, in 1932, somebody buried that whole house. with
Oldsmobile.
asbestos. Yeah, right. Right, so I think it'd be prudent at both sites. Once again, I mean, you're just building evidence. So when
Yeah.
somebody asks the question, yes, we did our due diligence,
I
right?
wonder if some of it is that pool is losing water so quickly that maybe maybe it's eroding underground, and that's all I could figure there. I don't know.
So, like I said, that would be the,
But it's, I mean, if the borings are $7,000, it's cheap insurance. So,
Oh, yeah,
and
I
project-
agree,
cheap,
100%.
cheap insurance, and like I said, it's all, you're building. Well, did you check this out? Hey, as a matter of fact, we did, and here's the results, right? And if we do it independently, then it's our report.
Right.
Right, and we have it. So, you know, when we're all sitting there 6 years from now talking about it again.
I was shooting for 5 personally, but.
Okay.
Jonathan, do you think there's merit in trying to negotiate the price with Lothrop, or?
I see. what
As
you're
I
doing.
said, I mean, they said a reasonable, I mean, you would be talking about taking 50% off of the price of their evaluation. That's, I mean, you can get $1,000 here and there.
Yeah, they may give you 10%.
Yeah.
So I guess we could be here all night, I guess. I would move, we go ahead with Watson and Sampson.
Weston is in.
You just wanna go
Weston Sampson.
yeah, down the table.
I think that they're certainly the cheapest firm. I think they presented, I thought they presented well. You and I, AJ, heard something different, but I think I heard the same thing.
No, yeah, I get what you're showing.
I get, and I did like they had an answer for the groundwater. I think that I thought it was refreshing.
You're a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, opposed? Okay, so, 5-1. Okay. So so what I need to talk with leadership tomorrow about like whether we have to move forward with this and more into as our purchasing agent, whether we need to formally move forward with this in council or this, whether this was technically a recommendation or whether that was a binding vote.
Well, it's a recommendation out of committee.
Again, I want to
Okay, we'll figure
confirm,
it out.
we'll figure this out, but one way or another, I'll be back in touch about what this means.
So the vote was 5
5-1.
with Carol not voting.
Oh, well, 5-1 with Carol, absent and I.
Okay,
again.
just gotta make sure
Yeah.
that you're.
Yep.
Nice.
And then I think yeah, because then we'll have money there still to pay for the
The geo stuff.
Yeah.
stuff.
And do we want to use that company they talked about for doing the corings? I lost my notes here.
I think we should
An
probably
expert.
let them
Yeah,
recommend.
let's get the ball rolling and then.
Yeah, they
we'll-
did recommend someone. There's somebody in Oxford, is that?
That
what it
was,
is?
was the other
Northrop.
Both I think recommended Oxford.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they said they also don't do.
They said it was somewhere closer, I think.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
said somewhere even
Okay.
closer, yeah.
John Donahue's chlorine.
yeah.
I got a shovel. I'll dig a hole.
What happened to Tim? I don't know, he's in China.
I'm digging a hole.
Digging a hole.
Okay, all right, so we don't have any new business, and there's anybody online with public participation or no? Nope, don't think so.
There is, no one online.
Beautiful.
Just had pesky NCTV.
NCTV is there.
All right, and any comments by committee members?
No, but
I just thought it was a productive day.
good, yeah, it was a good
Okay.
meeting, I think.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, good job.
That's always the
Okay.
quickest vote, I don't.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.